Morning. Happy New Year to you and your entire team, firstly.
Thank you so much for that, Aisha. Happy New Year to you as well as to all the members of PT Now and to all the viewers of PT Now. Let's hope 2026 could be a far better year and not as tumultuous as what we saw in 2025.
Will it? Is it going to really drag its feet the way it did all through 2025, Kunal?
No, I think 2026 start should be a lot more better, and I would believe that it should be a completely different year than 2025, if you ask me, Aisha, because we've ended almost 15 months broadly of the markets consolidating. We were at 26,200 odd levels in September 2024, and we ended the month of December 2025 at closer to this 26,100 200 mark. So broadly for the last 15 months, we've literally done nothing on the indices except for that huge amount of volatility which was seen. We've underperformed most of the global markets. In fact, I think we've clocked in, I think, single digit returns, 9% or 9.5% thereabouts for the index in that sense, as compared to many of the indices which have clocked in 18 to 20% on an average. So even in that context, I think we have lagged behind many of the global markets, and this underperformance has to be caught up to. So we've gone through a time-wise consolidation. We've gone through a major price-wise correction for the index and many constituents within the index, both large caps as well as mid caps, small caps. So I think in that sense, 2026 should be a year where the markets would probably forget 2025 and start off a new course on the higher side.
So, Kunal, what's the way forward for sectors? We've seen IT, metals make a comeback. Does it look sustainable through 2026 too, or at least for the start of it?
Yeah, it definitely looks sustainable, Aisha. But in every market theme, and we've been discussing this on and off, that say in a quarterly phenomena, the sectors will keep on rotating itself, and that's the nature of the markets. Just 3 months back, we were talking of PSU banking names as one of the strongest sector, and now we are at a point where metals and ITs are one of the strongest sectors. So the sectors will keep on revolving. But what's important is that if the trend for the index persists on the higher side, then the markets can easily absorb this kind of a sector rotation. Going forward in 2026, I believe lot many of the other sectors will start to make a comeback. I would sense that there would be a point where even the likes of Nifty Media Index could make a dramatic comeback for itself. You'd probably expect stocks from the FMCG pack and the pharma sector to try and make a comeback for themselves. I would also believe that the sectors which have been very strong, the PSU banking names, that I believe could be one of the stronger sector going into 2026. But the biggest catch over here in terms of the trend will be the private sector banking names. And I am of the opinion, a very strong opinion, that private sector banking stocks will make a very strong comeback in 2026, and especially the larger cap private sector banking names, because we've seen most of these stocks literally being sideways for the last 15 to 16 months. So that I believe could be another trend which traders could watch out for.
Names, Kunal. Is it going to be HDFC, Kotak? There are obviously 4 to 5 large names within the private banking pack. Which is your favorite?
So yeah, I think the numbers are limited over here, names are limited over here, Harsh. But if you ask me at the current chart patterns, I would look at Kotak Bank, Axis Bank as the top two candidates in terms of maybe gaining some sort of leadership. Eventually, there will be a point where even the likes of IndusInd Bank, which has been a huge drag and an underperformer and has seen a major volatility in 2025, even that stock could make a very strong comeback for itself somewhere maybe in the second half of 2026. And then eventually you'll have the likes of HDFC Bank and ICICI Bank trying to come back into being market performers. So, from that zone for the last 15 months, from being huge underperformers with respect to the market, even if these stocks rally by 10%, 15% broadly from their current levels, that I believe could be a good scenario for the bank Nifty. So overall, banking on Kotak Bank, Axis Bank as the two stronger names from the large cap private sector banking names, and eventually there would be a point where IndusInd Bank would also try and make a catch up.
That's quite interesting, Kunal. So, for the day, though, what stocks are you betting on?
Well, I take on some high beta names over here, Aisha, and Vodafone Idea is something which I've been bullish on earlier also a few months back. Now that the stock has gone through a decent correction, it's actually come back towards its 50-day moving average, closer to this 10, 10 and a half odd levels. So now the risk reward would start to look a little bit more attractive than what it was maybe when the stock was at 12 to 12 and a half odd zone. So would suggest a contra buy on the stock at current levels, targets of 15, stop loss at 9. Kotak Bank, something which we just discussed, that's another name which I think traders could bet on. It's heading towards a classical swing breakout, a consolidation inverted head and shoulder pattern breakout, which is a rare pattern for stocks, especially in the large cap arena. So would look out for 2260 as a near-term target, stop loss at 2170.
Hmm. Uh, Kunal, if you look at stick to the banking space, if you look at 2025, PSU banks were the outperformers. How do you see some of the PSU banks going into 2026? You have the SBIs, Canara's, BOB, Bank of India, and other banks.
So, I strongly believe, Sajid, that the PSU banking stocks will, so as an index, it will continue to perform. So, my expectation is that hopefully by mid of 2026, we may be at a 15% kind of a higher level for the PSU banking index. But what we've also seen that, the first 3 months of move, so in the last 3 months specifically from, I think, August, September, October, these were the 3 months where the PSU banking stocks did phenomenally well. There was almost like a 30% jump for many of the PSU banking names, and especially many of the PSU banking stocks came back to their 2024 highs. Case in point, Canara Bank and PNB, Bank of Baroda, etc. Even SBI to a larger extent. Now, what we've seen the last 1 month broadly, in the month of November, second half of December, is where we saw the mixture being a little bit more segregated towards very few names. For example, now when you look at the relative strength study, SBI and Canara Bank are the top two names which are emerging on the charts in terms of relative strength. The other names like PNB, Bank of India, etc., these stocks are lagging a little behind, say by a margin of 4-5% broadly. So what could happen is now the new leaders could get established from the PSU banking names, and doing a relative strength study will be a much more better way to pick these stocks. If you ask me currently, I would believe SBI, Canara Bank are the top two names which could look very strong going into 2026.
Okay, SBI, Canara Bank, the top